Hola, buenos días clase. Yo soy el profesor Adams. This morning I spoke with a student in class digitally, face-to-face, and she had a couple questions about this week's assignments. And I thought it merited a short video, a mini tutorial to help you if you had the same question. So I chose 4 specific assignments that you did this week or are pending to do. And hopefully, if you have not completed them yet, this will help you in the process. It is assignment 4.1 and 4.2 grammar introduction in the book of Tu Mundo, the chapter we're currently on. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. In question 4 of 10, it asked you about reflexive verbs. It had you answer a question, and basically instructions simply say, Imagine que tu hermanito tiene 3 años, te hace estas preguntas. So your little brother asking you these questions, how would you respond? Here's an example. ¿Te lavas los dientes? Now it's asking you, do you wash or do you brush your teeth with soap? Well, no, I don't. I use toothpaste. Now, here it says, no, me lavo los dientes or me cepillo los dientes con pasta dental. Let's take a look at number 1 as an example. ¿Te bañas a las 4 de la mañana? Do you take a bath at 4 in the morning? Now, the system will allow many different possibilities. You can either say yes or no. Take a look. You have no. No me baño a las 4 de la mañana. Or sí, me baño a las 4 de la mañana. But what if you wanted to say no, I bathe at a different time? That's also a possibility. No, me baño a las 6 de la mañana. The most important part about this section is getting the reflexive verb conjugated correctly. You have to use the reflexive pronoun me, te, se, nos, o se, for example. And here you're saying yo, so it's me baño, yo me baño. And that's the most important part when responding. Let's take a look at a different question. You've got question 8 of 10. The instructions say, convierte las siguientes oraciones en preguntas de sí o no. Where some of my students had issues were creating open-ended questions and not necessarily yes or no questions. For example, in number 2, Juan Fernando Chen Gallegos habla español. Juan speaks Chinese. Some of my students wrote, what language does Juan speak? Which grammatically is fine. ¿Qué idioma habla Juan? But the problem was the instructions ask you to write a yes or no question. So let's go through the first 2 examples to help you. You've got Ángela es una estudiante muy buena. Ángela is a very good student. You simply say, is Ángela a very good student? Yes or no. But in this case, yes. Ángela is a good student. So we would say, ¿es Ángela una estudiante buena? Or, ¿es una estudiante muy buena, Ángela? You have the option of putting Ángela right after the verb or at the end of the sentence in the question. You can't put it at the beginning. You can't say, Ángela es una estudiante muy buena in a question form unless you were saying something like, Angela is a good student, right? That's a third way of asking a question. Ángela es una estudiante muy buena, ¿verdad? In that case, you can do it. But since we're not structuring it like that, you have the option of putting it after the verb es or at the end of the question itself. Let's take a look at number 2. Juan Fernando Chen Gallegos habla chino. So it's a yes or no question. Habla Juan Fernando Chen Gallegos chino? Or habla chino Juan Fernando Chen Gallegos? Well, it's a long name, isn't it? Either way, you could put his name right after the verb or at the end of the question. But that's how I wanted you to structure your answers, a simple yes or no question, not an open-ended question. And that's where the confusion came with a couple of my other students. Okay, questions 9 of 10. You have the instructions. It says, hazles preguntas a estas personas. You're going to talk to either tú, you, a friend, usted, somebody older than you, somebody with respect, usted, o ustedes, you guys. Now, we don't have the vosotros option in these instructions. We'll just simply stick to the tú, usted, and ustedes. So it asks you, hey, ask Don Antonio if he goes to work. So you're saying, hello, Don Antonio. You're talking to Don Antonio. Do you go to work via car? Do you go to work in your car? ¿Va usted en coche al trabajo? So the instructions are telling you who to talk to. You're talking to somebody or a group of people directly. So let's take a look at this first question. Pregúnteles a Claudia y Camila. Now, it doesn't say Doña Claudia or Doña Camila, so they're assuming they're your friends and you would use ustedes. Now, if we were in Spain, we'd use vosotras, nor here nor there in this example. So how would we rephrase this? How would we ask them whether they drink a lot of coffee when they study? Claudia y Camila toman mucho café cuando estudian. Let's ask that question. We would say, ¿Toman mucho café cuando estudian ustedes? Hey, Claudia. Hey, Camila, my friends. Do you guys drink a lot of coffee when you study? Notice how I can put ustedes at the end, ustedes after the verb. I don't even need to put ustedes because I know I'm talking to you guys. Or I could even abbreviate it. That's another option. Or I can put it after the word café. So Spanish is really versatile. We can throw that pronoun really wherever we want. We just can't put it at the beginning unless we were saying, ustedes toman mucho café cuando estudian, ¿verdad? Anyway, you've got all of these options and the system will allow either one of them. So it could be a little daunting, but I think having flexibility is wonderful. Let's take a look at the next one. Pregúntale a Doña Estela si cocina todos los días. Ask Doña Estela Obando Hernández if she cooks every day. So you approach Doña Estela and say, hello, Doña Estela. Do you cook every day? How would we say that? We would say, ¿Cocina todos los días usted? ¿Cocina usted todos los días? Notice how I can put it right here after the question or right here after the verb. I don't even need to put it because I'm talking to you, Doña Estela, right? Or cocina todos los días usted, abbreviated, if I were to write it out like that. Now, there are some countries that do put the pronoun in front of the verb. Like if I said, do you dance salsa? ¿Bailas tú salsa? In Puerto Rico, we could possibly say, ¿Tú bailas salsa? So you can actually put the pronoun at the front of the question. But the textbook wants you to structure your syntax as you see it here. ¿Cocina todos los días usted? Or ¿Cocina usted todos los días? And you can abbreviate it. The very last one that students had trouble with was number 10 of 10. Forming questions. And this, in my mind, is more of the easier of the tasks because you simply just create a question based on the answer, an open-ended question. You don't have to go yes or no. It's an open-ended question. It's kind of like Jeopardy, Sacramento, and then you would say, what is the capital of California? Sacramento. Here we have Jorge tiene 21 años. Jorge is 21 years old. So I would simply say, how old is Jorge? So we have Juan Fernando y su familia viven en Costa Rica. Juan Fernando and his family live in Costa Rica. You simply say, where does Juan Fernando and his family live? Now, you're not talking to them, like in the other example. You're just simply creating a question to get this answer. So we say, ¿Dónde viven Juan Fernando y su familia? Or we can, number 2, we have Juan Fernando habla chino y español. Juan Fernando speaks Chinese and Spanish. So I simply say, what languages does Juan Fernando speak? ¿Qué idiomas habla Juan Fernando? So the idea is to use these interrogative words, cuándo, cuántos, cómo, dónde, qué. Here we have dónde viven, qué idiomas. So it's to help you form the question by giving you the interrogative words. Anyway, those are 2 examples on question 10 of 10. I hope this little tutorial helped you, so when you do the rest of the exercises, you can have éxito, success. Buena suerte. Adiós.